Hi, 4th and 6th graders. It's Mrs. Smith. I'm back for the third part of our reading for this week from Squirrels and Other Fur-Bearers by John Burroughs. I'm going to finish up the wild mice section by continuing with the jumping mice. The track of one of our native mice we do not see upon the snow, that of the jumping mouse. So far as I know, it is the only one of our mice that hibernates. That's a good reason not to see his footprints in the snow. It is much more rare than its cousin, the deer mouse, or white-footed mouse, and I've never known it to be found in barns or dwellings. I think I have heard it called the kangaroo mouse, because of its form and its manner of running, which is in long leaps. Its forelegs are small and short, and its hind legs long and strong. It bounds along, leaping 2 or more feet at a time. That's pretty far for a little mouse. I used to see it when a boy, but have not met with one for many years. Now I'm going to show you his sketch so that as we read about it, you can see the short forelegs, the longer back legs, and a long tail. Jumping mice. It still looks like they have the white belly. One summer, a boy who lives in Dutchess County across the Hudson from my house caught 4 of these mice in a wire trap. 2 males and 2 females. The boy said that when he picked up the trap, the 2 males fell dead. From fright, he thought. One of the females died in October, but the other lived and began hibernating early in November. So this boy says that they hibernated. He took it to his teacher in New York, who kept it through the winter. She made a pocket for it in a woolen sock. But it was not suited with it, for in January it woke up and it made itself a neat little blanket from the wool, which it nibbled from the sock. In this it rolled itself and went to sleep again. A week or 2 later I was at the school, and the teacher showed me her sleeping mouse. It was rolled up in a ball with its tail wrapped about its head. I held it up in the palm of my hand. It seemed almost as cold as a dead mouse, and I could not see it breathe. It was carefully put back in its blanket. True hibernation, they don't wake up when you pick them up. My bearded dragon, she bruminates. So if I pick her up while she's sleeping and not eating or drinking, she's bruminating, but she'll open her eyes and look at you, but she has no energy to do anything, and then she'll go back to sleep. Not long after this, a small house mouse was put in the box with it. It was the tiniest little mouse, says Miss Burt, that you ever saw. It cuddled in with the hibernator, who got up at once and took care of this baby. The baby struck out independently and burrowed in the sand and stole some of the wool and feathers from the hibernator to lie in his own nest. But the jumping mouse went in with him, enlarged the nest, and cuddled down to him. They were great friends, but the baby smelled dreadfully, as all house mice do, and I took him out. Then the hibernator curled up again and went into winter quarters. So she did wake up when needed and went back. When the warm weather came on, she uncurled and ate and drank. She preferred pecan nuts and shredded wheat biscuit and ate corn. I tried to tame her. I took a strong feather and played with her. At first she resisted and was frightened, but after a while she stood it and would even eat and clean herself while I scratched her with this feather. But she was always terribly frightened when coming out of her day's sleep. If I began to play with her, Okay, so you couldn't play with her very quickly. She was very scared until she woke up. After being thoroughly waked up, she did not mind it. She would let me smooth her with my finger, and she would smell of my finger and go on eating, keeping an eye out. 3 times she had a perfect fit of fright, lying on her back and kicking and trembling violently. On these occasions she made a scuttling noise or cry, and I thought each time she would die. So I grew more and more cautious about meddling with her. There was one interesting thing about it. She rose from these fits and ate heartily and cleaned herself with great unconcern. I was tempted to believe that she was doing shammed dying or playing possum. The most interesting thing I ever saw her do was to climb up on her glass of water, sit on the rim, and put both little paws down and scoop up a big double handful of water and wash her face and head. She made her face very wet, just like a person washing his face. She ate sunflower seeds and often kept one eye shut a long time on first waking up. After the apple blossoms came, I kept her box supplied with flowers, such as apple blossoms, cherry, spruce, maple, and so on. Also, I kept her box disinfected with plenty of good, fresh country dirt, but she stuck to the old wool and feathers and the little piano duster. The mouse continued hibernating at intervals till May. One damp, chilly morning, Miss Burt thought she would add to her pet's coverings. The little creature seemed so cold to the touch. Little by little, much of her bedding of wool had been removed, although she had a pretty good blanket of it left, and the feather duster over her, which she appropriated long ago. So I resolved to carry some bits of flannel to school, and when I went to her box to give her the extra clothing again, found her as you saw her, rolled up in a ball. I covered her carefully, wrapped her all up, and put her back. Later in the day, I peeped in, and she was awake. In the afternoon, I took her out in her little basket and looked at her. She was asleep, but started up, and seeing herself out of her box, put up her little paw in fright. She trembled violently, and I hastily returned her to her box, but before I could cover her, she fell back dead of fright. Miss Burt adds, I have had her put in alcohol. One tiny paw is raised imploringly, suggestive of the sensitive nerves that caused her death. My. Wow. So the shrew will die if brought out just into the light. And that's a fright. And these mice, these kangaroo or jumping mice, they seem to die really easily too of fright. Wow. Rabbits will too. They go into shock and die when they're scared. So that's where we're going to stop this week. God bless you. I've been having so much fun. I almost want to go hold a wild possum and some wild mice. But we'll see. God will have to provide that opportunity. Okay. God bless you. Good night.